Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. I'm Kristen Taylor, along with Greg Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. We're talking all today, Greg, about common retirement goals and challenges. But first, I have a little bit of a fun fact for you.
Okay.
Did you know that ketchup was once sold as a medicine?
No.
So in the 1830s, an Ohio physician, so the little Ohio homegrown fact, John Cook Bennett marketed it as that's a mouthful, right? Marketed it as an indigestion cure, as well as a few other ailments that I won't discuss on TV. So ketchup was used for indigestion.
Well, you know me, I don't like a whole lot of sauces, but I like ketchup on almost everything.
Yeah, you like ketchup on nuggets, which is just weird.
I love dipping my chicken nuggets in ketchup. What's wrong
barbecue
with that?
sauce and ranch and maybe buffalo are the only proper things.
Barbecue sauce on wings, barbecue sauce on ribs, ketchup for chicken nuggets. Yeah. It'll change your life, folks. It really will.
To me, the cure part is what throws me off, because I feel like tomato-based products actually cause indigestion and heartburn, so I don't understand using it as a cure. But I think they did a lot of things backwards in the 1800s. But you know what does cause indigestion for sure?
What's that?
Taxes.
Yes.
Taxes are something.
April 15th, my stomach hurts for sure.
Yeah. Taxes are something we have to deal with on some level throughout our entire lives, right? So approximately 5,000 years ago, the first recorded instance of taxation was in ancient Egypt, where the pharaoh taxed 20% of the total grain harvest. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
So taxes have been around since man, essentially.
Taking 20% of the profits right off the top for everybody. Yes. And that's kind of like Uncle Sam. Now, we do have some people in the 10% tax bracket. Mm-hmm. We have others who are in the 12% tax bracket who would be considered, middle class. And for a couple, you can still earn up to about $130,000 with the standard deduction and be in the 12% tax bracket. Then it jumps to 22, then to 24, then to 32, then to 35, and then to 37%. So some people are paying 37% off the top. 37%.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's huge. Now, they get us coming and going, right? Because you go to the grocery store, unless it's food items you're buying, guess what you're buying? Guess what you're paying?
Taxes.
You go to the gas pump. And then if you look really closely, in Ohio, a huge chunk of what we pay at the gas pump is to gasoline tax for the roads. In fact, you have a Tesla.
Right.
And when we renewed the plates.
The first time I got the plates renewed, I called you and I was like, is this right? I got the renewal in the mail and it was like $500 to renew it. And you're like, yeah, it's more for, electric cars.
So you don't pay the gas tax at the pump. They get it when you renew your license plate.
That's right.
That's exactly right. So they're always going to find a way to get it. They're always going to find a way. And even when you retire and then you think, okay, I'm going to start becoming more tax efficient. I'm going to start converting to a Roth. I'm going to take this traditional IRA, this traditional 401k, I'm going to start moving money over into a Roth so that's tax-free forever. Then you find out, because you converted a big chunk to a Roth, now your income's high enough to where you're paying more for your Medicare Part B and Medicare Part D.
Right.
So it can happen on your Medicare, it can happen on your Social Security, it can happen on items we buy at the store. It's everything has a tax to it, and that does give me indigestion.
Well, I would say that taxes are an area like the top three when families call into our office. When you're watching, you may be thinking of the different things that will concern you throughout your retirement years. I'd say, top three, one of your biggest concerns are taxes. That's what we get the most calls about. And I think what's alarming to the families we work with is that, through your working years, you're making a lot of money, you expect to pay taxes, you got property taxes, you all the taxes that you have to pay. But then when you go to retire, you're not getting a paycheck anymore. So you don't expect to see that tax bill so high, right?
Yes. And I would say the biggest tax burden that most of our viewers have is in their retirement accounts, whether it be an IRA, traditional 401k, a 403b, deferred compensation, TSPs, all those are retirement accounts. And almost all of those, now there are a few exceptions, but almost all of those are tax deferred.
Well, Greg has all these sayings, and one of the sayings is you kick the can down the road, right?
Yes.
Through your working years, you're continuously kicking that proverbial tax can down the road.
Yes.
And now...
Why pay it now when I can pay it later?
What's the saying? The piper's coming to collect, right? Is that the saying?
I don't know that saying.
I know there's a saying somewhere around. There's a saying somewhere around there. I always mess up sayings. But yeah, I mean, now that you're retiring and you're starting to have to draw those dollars from those tax deferred accounts, now you're paying sometimes more tax than you paid when you were working, right?
Well, that's true. But even if you don't, think of it like this. If I retire at 65 and I've got, just say we have $1 million in our retirement accounts, okay? Well, we owe tax on $1 million. Mm-hmm. But 10 years later, if that grows to $2 million, guess what? We owe tax on $2 million. So the more it grows, the more we owe. So do we want to pay tax on a smaller number, or do we want to pay tax on a larger number? That's really the question.
Right.
Is how much tax do we want to give to Uncle Sam? If I owe him 22% on $1 million, that's $220,000. If I owe him 22% on $2 million, that's $440,000 I owe Uncle Sam for the same account. So Uncle Sam doesn't care how much it grows. Hey, let it grow, let it grow, let it grow, you know, like right around Christmas time. But seriously, all they care about is getting the money coming in. Mm-hmm. Show me the money, 20% on the grain, 22% on our IRAs. It's all great to Uncle Sam to get that money coming in. But there is something we can do about it. But I think outside of maybe healthcare risk, tax risk is probably the greatest risk that most people face, even maybe more than market risk. Market risk affects a lot of people, but tax risk can be huge.
Well, tax affects everybody.
It does. And then there's what we call legislative risk. That means the government at any time, through Congress, through the Senate, has the ability to change the rules. They can change the rules. They can say, you guess what? Instead of a 20%, 22% interest in your retirement account, we now have a 35% interest in your retirement account.
That's so true.
So now if it's bigger plus you owe a bigger percentage, that could be devastating to many, many people. So having a tax plan, and you know, I would say the average person coming in, when they call in from the show, they come in and they sit down with us. When we show them the potential tax burden over their lifetime, it's mind-boggling.
Well, it really is. And I mean, that's why we've given this resource on our website, testmyretirement.com.
Yes.
Where you just go in, you click learn more, and you're able to put in a few pieces of information and go through and really start to see and uncover what your actual tax burden is going to be for your retirement years. And then you have the information in your hands to actually be able to do something about it, right?
Right. And once they've gotten the information, now, if they have a desire to do so, we can create a tax plan that's individualized for their specific need. That's really life-changing.
It really is. So you can go to testmyretirement.com to fill out that information right now and get a report emailed right to you with information about what your passable tax liabilities will be in retirement. Or you can just simply pick up the phone and call our office at 614-336-7660. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Have you visited LegacyRetirementGroup.com lately? Not only can you easily schedule an appointment by clicking on Schedule Now, you can visit the Tools section and request a free copy of Legacy's My Retirement Kit. Simply fill in your email address and a few other details. Then check your email and you'll find a 10-page retirement kit in your inbox that can help you become better organized. Legacy's My Retirement Kit is designed to help you take a personal inventory and assign realistic values to your assets for what lies ahead. It's a key first step towards creating a true financial plan for your future. And you can do it for free at home right now. To be clear, this does not take the place of a retirement plan or estate plan, but it will help you get organized for the future of your retirement. Visit LegacyRetirementGroup.com and click on Tools to request your My Retirement Kit today. That's LegacyRetirementGroup.com.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. I'm Kristen Taylor, and today we're talking all about common retirement challenges and goals. And Greg, you know, it's normal in this day and age for people to have many job changes throughout the years.
Yes.
And according to a study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average person changes jobs 12 times in their lifetime.
Wow.
So that could be 12 different retirement accounts, right?
It could. Yes.
I know you and I have had this conversation over the years. We both, believe it or not, I don't know if we've mentioned this on TV. We talk about it on the radio all the time. Greg and I had the same first job, not at the same place or at the same time, but we both worked at McDonald's. That was our first job, right?
Yes.
And then I was a hustler when I was a teenager. I found all these other jobs. I worked
You
for
were a what when you were a teenager?
I was a hustler.
Oh, okay.
What'd you think I said?
I wasn't sure.
Oh my word. So I don't know if you remember me telling you this, but I worked for an inventor who actually invented the rotary device for Caterpillar trucks.
Okay.
You know, I soldered the little microchips for the rotary device.
Okay.
I did that for a while, and several other odds and end jobs. I worked multiple jobs because you're only allowed so many hours. So I would babysit, and I worked for a special needs girl for a little while and did all kinds of things. I know you had a lot of jobs.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, McDonald's and was my first. And then at Great Southern Shopping Center, because they were going to pay a little bit more per hour, I got a job at Kroger.
You went for the money.
I did. And
the cute girls, maybe. I don't know.
No. But I started off getting the bass carts from the parking lot and pushing them in. Then
You're the cart boy.
I was the cart boy for a while. Yeah. And
Back then you could work for tips. So did you try to get tips?
Oh, yeah.
When you helped with the carts?
Why not? And then I became a cashier. But it wasn't cashier like today where you scan the item across. No, you had to type it in. And then
did you get fast? I mean, because you're not very fast typing.
I did get fast, but then you get halfway through and someone says, "Hey, I think you made a mistake back there." Then you got to go back through your tape.
Oh, that would be awful.
Yeah, and it's a busy Saturday and the line's all the way back to the meat counter and people are impatient and all those things. That was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure.
So, I mean, we're having fun with this, obviously, and we've had a lot of jobs and different accounts over the years, right?
Yes. And I built railroad cars in college.
Oh, yeah, I forget about that.
Raw car in Chicago Heights, Illinois.
He's got a story about his finger. I'm
Yes.
sure he's going to show everybody right now.
No, I'm not going to show.
Okay, he smashed his finger.
I did.
It's a very sad story.
It is a sad story.
But, you know, when it comes to these different jobs, I started off by talking about how it leads to different accounts.
Yes.
What does that look like in the retirement years? Because we have so many families that we meet with that come in and they have accounts everywhere. I mean, it's a drawer full, right? And sometimes it's a literal drawer that gets dumped into a bag and brought in. And so what's the thought process? You know, what can we tell our viewers today about the thought process behind consolidating those accounts?
Well, we've even had a few people come in and as they're going through stuff, they'll say, "Oh, I forgot I had that
We've had that a lot.
Yeah, like $50,000 there and I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Well, goodness, that's a lot of money to forget about.
Right.
Well, what can be confusing and hard to keep up with when you have so many different retirement accounts, even if it's just 3 or 4 from various companies that you work for and different 401ks and such, it's hard to keep track of what they're all doing. And it's hard to really have a solid game plan for them all. But you know, it's interesting. I start to get these reels now on Facebook.
Yeah, so if you're just tuning in, Greg has not really been a social media person, but lately I've been catching him scrolling. I wish I had my phone here so I can, but he's sitting there scrolling and I'm like, oh, Greg's fallen victim to the scrolling, the reels.
Yes.
Right?
And some of them are
golf
interesting.
Videos mostly.
Mostly golf, you know, because one of these days I might actually get a little better. I've been trying to get out a little bit more.
Yeah, you have.
But on this particular one, it was a female financial advisor who was giving an example of a 45-year-old with a $500,000 old 401k.
Okay.
If they were to move it into a program that would provide guaranteed lifetime income in retirement, and what she was giving an illustration for was that $500,000 at age 65 would generate $100,000 per year of guaranteed lifetime income. Well, that made me think, well, and maybe at 45, it might be a little bit young to start looking at that, maybe.
Right.
But you kind of have two paths that you can choose as you start to plan for retirement. You can have the hope path. And this is where I hope that, things work out well in Washington. I hope that tax rates stay low. I hope that the market does well and that my portfolio continues to grow and that we don't have any major hurdles with the market declines and things like that. And we can always hope those things. In fact, I think that's what we do. We hope that we don't get hit with people that live, down in Florida, they hope they don't get hit with a hurricane.
Right.
Right? Now, in Columbus, Ohio, I don't really have to hope that too much. I don't think Columbus, Ohio has ever been hit with a hurricane.
Yeah, please don't start hurricanes
No,
there.
no. But we do have tornadoes.
Sometimes, yes.
Yes, occasionally. So sometimes it's all about where we have our money as to what possible risks and challenges we have. So if we're talking about goals and challenges, the goal is to grow our money so that we can live well in retirement. The goal is to have enough to not run out during our lifetime. The goal is to be able to live well and enjoy the same lifestyle that we've been accustomed to. The goal is to not overpay Uncle Sam in taxes. Those are all goals. So what are the challenges to these things we want to achieve?
Well, and I think that's where we're getting back to the fact that people have a lot of different accounts. It's awfully hard to make all those accounts work and sync together for an efficient plan, right?
It is, yeah.
Because you might be paying different fees in the different accounts. There might be different risks associated in the different accounts. And getting those all coordinated can be hard, right? To make sure they all point towards a common goal.
Well, yes. And what I find is the most difficult thing is to actually have a solid game plan when you really don't have any continuity. So when you can put those together in one spot with one advisor with whom you feel comfortable, okay, now you can have a much more simplified management of what it is you're trying to achieve. So now it really puts things together to where it's simple to follow.
It's like a personalized retirement plan, right? What would be included in that?
Well, a personalized retirement plan is going to focus on several things. It's going to focus on efficient growth. It's going to focus on efficient income, helping you become more efficient with taxes, helping you be more prepared for healthcare crisis, because as we know, that can happen to anybody. And then whatever's left over when we pass away, we want that to get to those we love as efficiently as possible. I mean, I assume that most of you viewing would rather it go to someone you care about than to Uncle Sam or the court system or some attorney somewhere. So if that's the case, then have a game plan.
So a plan is not all these different accounts.
No. All those different accounts are just pieces that all fit together into a plan. So simplifying it, making it more efficient, making it actually work together for what it is you are trying to achieve. That's what a plan's all about. If you go to somebody and they try to force you in a direction that you're not comfortable with, by the way, that is not a plan. Because if you're being forced into it, it means it's not something you're comfortable with. And you should always be comfortable with the plan that you have.
To our viewing audience, do you have a plan? Do you have a lot of accounts, or do you have a plan? Fewer accounts lead to less confusion. And if you sit down with our team at Legacy Retirement Group, you're going to get a portfolio x-ray, but also a plan. Greg mentioned what our personalized retirement plan includes. And it helps you have a more concise retirement, helps you move through more confidently, knowing what all your dollars are working towards. They're working towards the goal that you've set out for your retirement years. If you call our office at 614-336-7660, you can schedule with a staff member, or you can also go to legacyretirementgroup.com, and we've made it really easy. You can click on schedule now and do that just from the comfort of your own home. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
They've got quite an extensive resume. Wow, so many years of management. I bet that was fun. So this job requires basic knowledge of the social media and video platforms, content creation, and SEO. How proficient are you in those areas?
Going back to work after retiring is not ideal. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis. Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. I'm Kristen Taylor, and today we're talking all about the retirement goals and challenges.
Yes.
So a recent Gallup poll conducted last year says that 54% of Americans identify as part of the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think it's safe to assume that regardless of your marital status, whether you've been married, divorced, or single, or even have $250,000 or $2 million tucked away, we all likely share the same fundamental financial goal, a normal, stable retirement, right?
Right.
So when I was looking at that study, I thought about a recent caller from the show, and she called in. I think she was about 65 years old, and she was telling Jessica in our office all about her situation and mentioning her different accounts. And she saved just over $1 million between her different accounts and some property that she'd been looking to maybe sell here in the near future. And she mentioned to Jessica that she's a teacher. Okay, so she's a retired public school teacher, but went on to work for a private school after she left the public school arena. And they had a great conversation. And when Jessica was talking to her, she started to find out that she was really focused on being able to travel in retirement. But she wanted to have a normal retirement, is what she said. And I thought that was interesting. You know, so many people we meet with day in and day out, they really, whatever their normal is,
yes,
that's what they want, right? They want, whether it's $1 billion or $250,000, they want something that's stable to them for their lifestyle that they've been accustomed to. And what was interesting about her, she's also divorced. So she's done a really great job for herself, being a single woman. And the conversation went on to schedule an appointment with our office to really sit down with you and review what she had and see if those accounts could get working together in a plan. So what do you see coming into the office, Greg, when you meet with families?
You know, it's all over the board, really. But I'm thinking right now of one of our clients that's been a client for about 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. And she's within a year of retirement right now. And she's been in the education system for decades. And so one of the things she's been highly counting on is STRS, State Teachers Retirement System for the state of Ohio. And she sent me this article that was really troubling. It was very troubling for her, very troubling for me as well, as I was reading this article, that the state of Ohio has mismanaged the retirement, the STRS accounts to such a degree that the first thing that popped in my head was that day that you and I went to Wendy's for lunch.
Yes.
And there was an older gentleman working there, and he was the nicest guy in the world. He came by, asked if he could take our trays up. He was wiping all the tables down and making sure that everything looked spotless inside the restaurant. And he seemed as happy as a lark. Mm-hmm. And, you know, from your time at McDonald's, you thought, well, this guy has just needed something to do in retirement, wanted a little job to work just so he could get out of the house and keep his wife from killing him and stuff like that, like would happen if I ever retired.
Right.
And true. But you said something to him, and what did he say to you?
Well, yeah, and if I remember correctly, he retired from Chicago.
Yeah,
he was in
from
Chicago.
The state of Illinois.
He was from the state of Illinois, and he said, well, you know, I need this job. In a nutshell, you said this was a couple years ago, did you not, just now?
I said a few years ago, yeah.
Okay, this was like almost 15 years ago, by the way.
Not that long.
It was. Greg, for some reason, he has this weird thing with time. He'll say something happened a few months ago, and it was years or a few years ago.
Okay, so maybe I want to be younger than I am. Okay?
So I don't remember exactly what he said because this was like 15 years ago, but something to the effect of, I need this job because my retirement's gone.
It is. His pension was gone.
Yeah.
And my heart just aches for all the teachers out there right now. Now, as of right now, I mean, we haven't heard anything that the state's going to, you know, slow down payments or stop payments or anything like that.
But it's happened to some.
But so one of the things that I used to not be so gung-ho about is when teachers retire, they have the option to take a plop or not a plop.
To plop or not to plop.
Right. And I used to be less gung-ho because in some cases they wouldn't get quite as much income if they took the plop and we put it into a private account versus the monthly annuity. And, you know, the goal should always be to do the right thing for the individual and make sure they're getting the best deal. But now I'm thinking, well, if you're going to come close in taking the plop, maybe it makes sense to do so you have a separate stream of income for part of that in case there is a real problem with the retirement plan, you know? So that's part of it. But after doing retirement planning for over 30 years, this is what I've done. I mean, it's hard to believe. So maybe it was 15 years ago because, I mean, it's been a long time.
You threw me for a loop there for a minute. I'm thinking, what was that conversation? That was a long time ago.
I guess it was.
Yeah.
But after doing this for over 30 years, I've discovered, Kristen, what the winning formula is. And now it's a bit different for every family, but the formula doesn't change. And that is we use Formula 1 where people have enough liquidity for needs, wants, and emergencies.
Sleep well at night money, right?
Yes. People have income protected. We want to use the absolute least amount of money necessary to generate the income they need and then grow the rest. But in that growth piece, we want to make sure that we're staying within their risk profile, what they're actually comfortable with between how much you can go up and down. And it's different for everybody. Some people are very comfortable with a lot of volatility. Others are not comfortable with any volatility at all. So we have to make sure that in that growth piece that we stay right within what it is people actually are comfortable with. And when we do that, we have liquidity, we have income, and we have growth. They're not going to outlive their money. They're not going to feel freaked out when the market drops, when there's a pandemic, or when we have a 2008 where the market crashes, or even the early 2000s where the market went down over 50% over a 2.5-year period. I mean, we don't want to see those things happen, but when they do, we want people to have a winning formula so that they can thrive in any economy. And isn't that what it's all about? Having enough confidence that when you retire, you can live well in any economy.
Yeah, not just a normal retirement, but a thriving retirement. I like that. I like that. Well, to our viewers at home, thank you so much for taking your time out of this day and watching our show. And on the screen, you'll see our number, 614-336-7660. Reach out to us, give us a call. If you're sitting at home thinking, I don't know if I have a plan. I may have some accounts, but I don't know if it's in a plan that reaches my goal for retirement. If that's you, give us a call, 614-336-7660.